We celebrate our economic rise, but behind the numbers, millions are battling stress, fatigue, and anxiety. The crisis came into sharp focus when a 26-year-old woman working at a global giant EY died by suicide, allegedly due to work-related stress.
She was forced to work late in the night. After 12:30, she has to work, and she will return home by 1:30 only.
For a moment, the country took notice. People posted about toxic work culture, news channel ran debates, and then just like that, it faded away from headlines. No accountability, no structural change. Your 9 to 5 might not be as safe as you think, legally or mentally. This isn't just about demanding jobs, it's about a deeper systemic issue. I traveled to India's Silicon Valley to understand how and why our workforce is left vulnerable, and to uncover if there are any legal safeguards to protect against corporate exploitation. As a young working professional myself, I see countless posts on LinkedIn and Reddit. Stories of burnout, sudden layoffs, toxic work culture, and more often than not, they're coming out of Bangalore, or what many call India's Silicon Valley. So I decided to travel to the city at the heart of India's white-collar revolution. It's a city built on code, ambition, and hustle. A place where young professionals from all over the country come chasing dreams of career growth, financial freedom, and a better life. With more than 16,000 startups and nearly 40% of India's IT workforce, Bangalore has become one of the top destinations for white-collar jobs in the country. But behind those shiny glass buildings and the hustle of startups, a different story is unfolding. One of long work hours, unexpected layoffs, shrinking job security, and a lack of empathy. For many, the dream job is starting to feel more like a burnout cycle. I spoke to a couple of working professionals in the city. Some spoke on camera, others chose to stay anonymous, but all had something to say.
So tiring, like getting to office and then that just gets me tired. And then going back home, there's like nothing else that I do. Just like go home, eat food and sleep.
No me time.
No.
I got first job in Bangalore. So I came in Bangalore in 2022. I felt it's a very good company. So starting 6-7 months, it was nice. पर वो लंबे समय तक वो कल्चर रहा नहीं. जैसे जैसे समय बीतता गया 6 महीना 7 महीना, उसके बाद देखा गया कि बहुत लोग छोड़कर भी जा रहे हैं, क्योंकि वो लोग ओवर टाइम करवा रहे हैं, फोर्सफुली करवा रहे हैं. 12 बजे रात तक, 1-1 बजे रात तक, कई बार तो 2-2 बजे रात तक जाते थे. एक दिन ऐसा था जब राउंड द क्लॉक हम लोगों को काम करना पड़ा था. उसके रिटर्न में तो हर कोई चाहेगा कि जो हम काम कर रहे हैं, जितना हम एफर्ट्स डाल रहे हैं, उसका रिकॉग्निशन. बट आफ्टर दैट company culture and work-life balance was getting worse.
Work can wear us down, mentally, physically, and emotionally. That's exactly why labor laws were created, to prevent exploitation, ensure rest, and safeguard our right to life beyond work. The 8-hour workday, first legislated in the 20th century, was born out of a global workers' movement. Their slogan was simple: 8 hours of work, 8 hours of rest, and 8 hours of what we will. The slogan was first coined by a Welsh social reformer, Robert Owen, who saw how factory workers during the Industrial Revolution were burnt out, falling sick, and stripped of dignity.
Whole of industrial law, if you actually historically see, has been a movement where the workers have agitated for their rights. They've literally fought. You know, it's like you have an urban warfare, street by street warfare. So it's like that. They were hard-fought rights.
despite having labor laws in place today, millions of white-collar professionals, especially in booming sectors like tech, finance, are caught in a similar crisis.
9:30 में जाना, उसके बाद फिर रेगुलरली 7-8 तक काम करना, ये काफ़ी होता है. उसके बाद भी वो चाहते थे कि डिनर कर लो, उसके बाद फिर से स्टार्ट करो 2-3 घंटे और. लेकिन जब तक कि प्रोजेक्ट कंप्लीट ना हो, मान लो कि अगर कोई प्रोजेक्ट अगर 1 साल का है, दे वांटेड टू कंप्लीट विद इन 6 months. एक बार की बात है, हम चले गए वैसे ही. तो फिर मैनेजर कॉल किया कि आओ थोड़ा सा डिस्कशन करना है. तो हम गए, विदाउट लैपटॉप लेकर गए थे उस समय. तो हम बोला सिर्फ डिस्कशन करना है, होगा कुछ प्रोजेक्ट के बारे में तो डिस्कस कर लेंगे. तो उस समय चिल्लाने लगा, हु आस्क्ड यू टू लीव द ऑफिस विदाउट परमिशन. एट 8:30 PM आई लेफ्ट द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. उसके बाद भी वो बोल रहा है कि विदाउट परमिशन. आई वॉज फीलिंग लाइक अगर लॉ में देखा जाए एम्प्लॉय एंड एम्प्लॉयर इक्वल है, बट इन रियलिटी इट इज टोटली अपोजिट.
In India, labor is a subject on the concurrent list, meaning both the union and the state governments can make laws. But to understand how these laws are supposed to protect us, we must first understand how the workforce is categorized. And interestingly, a lot of it comes down to the clothes people wore. White-collar workers were professionals who typically wore crisp white shirts to office. People in administration, tech, finance, or management. These roles were usually cleaner, less physically demanding, and often better paid. Blue-collar workers got their name from the blue denim or overalls they wore. Clothes tough enough for manual labor in factories, construction, or agriculture. These jobs involved hard and physical labor and formed the backbone of the industrial economy. Then there are brown-collar workers, a category somewhere in between. These are mechanics, electricians, drivers, and service staff. Their uniforms were often brown or khaki, and they handled skilled technical or support roles. These distinctions shaped how Indian labor laws were written. Key legislations like the Industrial Disputes Act of 1947, the Factories Act of 1948, and the Shops and Establishments Act of 1954 were designed to protect workers' rights. But here's the catch. These laws were created during the British colonial era, a time when most of India's workforce was blue-collar, working in factories, on farms, or in heavy industries. So naturally, these laws focused on industrial safety, fair wages, and protection against physical exploitation. But today, the economy looks very different. With the rise of IT, corporate services, and startups, white-collar jobs have surged, but laws have failed to keep up. Most white-collar professionals, especially those not legally recognized as workmen under the Industrial Disputes Act, don't get the same legal safeguards. This includes protection from unfair dismissal, retrenchment compensation, or the right to raise an industrial dispute. Many employees in tech firms and startups do not fall under the legal definition of workmen. So I dug a little deeper about who else doesn't qualify as a workman. Turns out, if you're in a managerial, supervisory, or even a contract-based role, you probably don't qualify. And this includes most of us in tech, finance, and corporate jobs. So in short, a lot of us today are working without a legal safety net. So what does that mean for us? It means longer work hours, unrealistic expectations, toxic work culture, and growing job insecurity. The toll is quite visible in the city: burnout, depression, insomnia, emotional fatigue, and even suicide.
Well, a tragic incident at Ola's Artificial Intelligence Unit has now escalated into a police investigation after the alleged suicide of a young employee, Nikhil Somwanshi. Sources say the Karnataka police have registered a case of unnatural death based on a complaint from Nikhil's family. Now, according to police sources,
a study by the National Institute of Mental Health and Neuroscience has found that tech employees in Bangalore are far more likely to experience anxiety and depression than workers in other sectors. And if that wasn't enough, layoffs in the tech sector have been disturbingly common. In just the last 5 years, Bangalore has seen up to 200,000 job cuts, mostly in tech and startups. For many, job insecurity is also a growing concern.
I got terminated in the very 5th month of my employment. So I felt like no one was giving me job after I got terminated. because I had only 5 months of work experience in the previous organization. What I felt was after 5 months of working, if you are laid off, it brings a very bad remark on your career. So at that point of time, at least they must have given me an opportunity of 1 year to survive in the organization and improve my performance if they are not satisfied with my performance. I was very frustrated and I was not getting the job in the market. So it was very financially heartrending experience for me.
Keeping industrial IT sector from the Industrial Dispute Act aside, which they are doing, they are actually empowering the companies that any kind of retrenchment you can do, any kind of exploitation you can do. So there is no such forum will remain to raise your grievance or to address your problem. So that's the way they are diluting all the power which we have now.
First of all, I must tell you that the layoffs in IT industry are hardly litigated. As I said, the general thing that it's a very litigation averse sector. The IT workers are uniquely placed on whether they are actually workers and what rights they have. Given that these normal rights of protection against layoff, retrenchment, right to an inquiry before termination for wrongful cause, a right to maternity leave, the right to overtime, all these things which a normal industrial workman enjoys, an IT worker is deprived. Again, it depends on the establishment. Some establishments may be generous and may give these things, but there is no law which is forcing these establishments to give that.
It depends. It depends upon your employer that if he is respecting you, then it's well. If they don't respect you, you can't do anything. So if you are doing everything as per their expectation, whatever they are saying, if they are saying to work around the clock, if you are working around the clock, then you will be respected. If you don't obey them, then you won't. ये सारी सिनेरियो अगर आप नहीं करना चाहो तो वो डायरेक्टली बोलते थे कि यू डोंट नीड टू कम, यू कैन रिजाइन एंड यू कैन. So that's the thing.
Nearly 45% of tech workers in India report facing mental health issues. In Karnataka, these numbers are even more worrying because many tech professionals here work 50 to 60 hours a week. Despite these worrying trends, the Karnataka government has proposed to increase the maximum working hours from 9 to 10. Under the new rules, employees could end up working up to 12 hours a day, including overtime. On paper, it might sound like a push for productivity, but in reality, it goes against the very spirit of labor laws. So, it leaves us with some uncomfortable questions. Why is the state pushing for longer work hours at a time when workers are already burnt out?
They are also following the similar path of typical capitalist economic pattern where they try to exploit the maximum the working class or the employees, and they are actually trying to bring more profit for the employer. This is really concerning because already the IT sector employees are informally working more than 10 hours, 11 hours sometimes to complete the project within a certain stipulated period. And when you are bringing law, actually you are giving more power legally or statutory power you are giving to the employer where they can exploit more.
In that organization, I felt a lot of things. First thing, extra working hours. Extra overtime भी जो rule है, I think it's around 12 hours a day, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
लेकिन around the clock, if they are asking you to work, it's I think it's a kind of a criminal offense. but still people are not even whoever were there. मेरे बहुत सारे कलीग्स थे, किसी ने आवाज नहीं उठाया. तो ये सब चीजें काफी झंझोर दिया था. तो उसके बाद ही फॉर्चुनेटली आई गॉट एन ऑफर और आई पुट द पेपर, रिजाइन कर दिया. उसके बाद फिर मैनेजर और एचआर बोलने लगी हाउ यू कैन रिजाइन, and I requested for to reduce the notice period. तो वो बोलने लगी कि ठीक है, you can leave the company but you have to pay 3 months of salary. अगर मान लो कि आप कंपनी छोड़ना चाह रहे हो with immediate effect, because in such scenarios no one wants to be in that organization. तो इस तरह से इल ट्रीट अगर कोई करेगा तो कोई नहीं चाहेगा रहना. फिर भी आप छोड़ नहीं सकते हो. अगर आप छोड़ोगे तो वो लीगल एक्शन भी ले लेते हैं कई बार.
कि कभी आपने कोशिश किया कि मैं थोड़ा टू स्पीक अप अगेंस्ट दीज थिंग्स?
I never tried, and actually मेरे सामने कोई लोग ही नहीं, मतलब कि वैसा कोई इंसान ही नहीं था जिससे कि कंपनी के खिलाफ कंप्लेन कर सके. और कंप्लेन करने से होता क्या, मतलब कि कुछ आइडिया नहीं था वैसा कि किसको क्या बोले क्या नहीं. और इस तरह, मतलब कि इस तरह का वो लोग एग्रीमेंट साइन करवाते हैं कि दे ट्राई टू बाइंड यू.
You are not, you can't work in silo. If you are part of a larger working force or the workforce, then automatically what will happen, your voice will be heard more and more.
That's why the workers' unions have always played a crucial role in standing up for employees' rights and holding both state and corporations accountable. But in the white-collar world, it's not that simple. Unlike workers in traditional industries, most white-collar professionals feel hesitant or even afraid to join unions and advocacy platforms. And without their collective voice, speaking up becomes even harder. The lack of unionization limits their ability to raise workplace concerns, push for fairer policies, or resist exploitative practices. In that kind of silence, unhealthy work cultures are allowed to grow and go unchallenged. Just look around you. How many people do you know who get paid overtime or are expected to work on Saturdays like it's normal? Shouldn't we be asking who's making sure these companies are actually following labor laws? And why aren't they being held accountable when they don't?
If you're expecting the government will on its own do something, I doubt it. That will not happen, for the simple reason that the government will listen to industry. The industry is not only more powerful and has the election bonds or the election money to give, so they will try to be industry friendly. So unless these employees unionize, unless they actually go to court and fight for their rights, it's not going to drop from heaven. I'm sorry, I can't be optimistic and say that's the future and you're going to see that happening.
Even though we are working such long hours, there is no respect, there is no overtime compensation for us. After our working hours, we are expected to be honored at all times.
While workers' unions are doing their part to push back, the bigger responsibility lies with the state. It must step in proactively and hold private players accountable. Because economic growth should never come at the cost of workers' dignity, rights, and long-term well-being. At the end of the day, work is just one part of a person's life. People need time to rest, to build relationships, to care for themselves, and to simply live. Karnataka may rank high in terms of GDP, but the true progress of the economy shouldn't be measured in numbers alone. It must be measured in how fairly, safely, and humanly we treat the people driving that growth.